Hi, Shiners. Happy Monday night to ya. You know the drill. I pop on live, try to get my camera set up, my lighting, all the things while you guys get notifications and pop on to chat with me. So it is 1 minute after. I'm a smidge late because we started watching the People versus O.J. Simpson trial on Netflix, and I'm super loving it because I was like 12 and 13 when that started going on. And so obviously I wasn't too aware of the whole case during that time, being a teenager. So it's really good so far. I think we're like 5 episodes in. So anyway, highly recommend. Highly recommend. Hello, hello. Say hi if you're popping on live. And if you are watching the replay, which means there's no red live button up there, then you can comment replay. Let me know that you're watching. This is Monday Night Chat for all of you newbies. Every Monday night I pop on live at 8:30 Eastern and we chat about something that I come up with. And sometimes I come up with it like 30 minutes before I go live. And that's okay. We just wing it around here sometimes. It's all right. Last week we talked about bringing on new teamies, and this week I wanted to talk about a little bit about that leader word, because I know at least how I felt when I first started, and some concerns I've heard from some of you guys is like, I don't know anything, like I can't have people under me. What am I supposed to do? I don't know anything, right? So I wanted to break it down into a few like do's and don'ts from my perspective. You could type in Scentsy leadership. I do that a lot in YouTube, and pull up some other training if you want some other training on leadership. But here's kind of a few do's and don'ts that I have, that's my own opinion. So, hi friends, hello. I see you guys popping on. Say hi. I don't have a lot, so I should be able to keep it to the 30 minutes this time. All right, so it is almost 8:35, so we're gonna get started. So, what it really means to be a leader. So first of all, it's literally my favorite part. It's my favorite part. I love all of my customers and I love spoiling them and taking care of all of their wax needs and stuff. But honestly, if I could just sit and do stuff for you guys all day long, like I totally would, and there would never be a complaint because I love that part of it. I've been in management like almost my entire life. I can manage the crap out of people. Leadership is a little bit different. And you've probably heard that before, like management versus leadership. In a direct sales company, you don't manage people because everyone's their own independent consultant, right? They're their own business owner. And so you can't, make anybody do anything, So it's not like, oh, you got to put in this quota or you're fired kind of thing, right? So that's how like management is, and it's completely different. So I'm going to go over, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 do's. Oh, and 4 don'ts. How about that? That worked out. I just start writing notes and then we see what happens when it comes time to chat. So, all right. So, let me say this. I wanted to talk about this also because I do a lot, I feel like. Not saying I do more than other people or whatnot, but like, I feel like I do a lot just for the fact that when I was growing and coming up, like, there wasn't a whole lot of training and a whole lot of like anything going on. So I had to learn a lot of things on my own. And like, I just kind of missed a lot of that community feel that you would typically get from like a team. That's one of the things I really loved about being part of a team, and like in all of my management years and having a team, was like just that whole, better together feeling and doing team things and working together and sharing ideas, and just that whole like rah corny crap, right? Like, that's me. So I really missed all of that. So when I was like, once I get like an actual team going, I want to definitely work towards that kind of environment. So I feel like I kind of do a lot. And I look back and think, man, if somebody's like looking at me and, as a director, someone might say, well, gosh, like I don't want to do all of that stuff, so like, I don't want to be a director because she's doing all of this craziness, right? So I say that to say, being a leader doesn't look like one particular thing, because if you watch other YouTube videos of other leaders out there, you'll see that everybody does things a little bit different. But so here we go. Here's the do's that I think that as a leader, once you have one person underneath you, here's the things that you could do. Here's the things that you should do. And this is pretty much all I could think of. And like I said, I have 4 things written down for things that you should do, because it's not anything super crazy. So number 1, be a cheerleader. Okay. Everybody's different. I am one of those kinds of people that like, I need recognition. So like, I've always been the one to like strive and do a good job, and people take notice. Like, I'm like, I need you to take note that I'm doing a good job and tell me about it. And so that's what I feel like as a leader I should give back, right? Like, I want you to know that you're being noticed and your hard work is not, just being swept under the rug. Like, I'm going to cheer you on because you're doing amazing things. And so I'm going to tell, I want to shout you out on the team page when you hit certain milestones and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to send you a message to be like, hey, you're doing a great job, right? I'm so proud of you. At least for me, like, I am the kind of person that needs that. And so even if people aren't the kind of people that actually need that recognition, like, I still want to give it. So my number 1 is that I think you should be a cheerleader. So if you have people under you, you should be paying attention somewhat, right? Like, obviously you don't need to stalk your teamies, but pay attention and see what they're doing. Check their numbers in the workstation, see what they're posting on social media, that kind of thing. And shout them out in the team page, or just send them a private message, right? And let them know that you're thinking about them, you think that they're doing a good job, all of that sort of thing, right? Number 2, what gets recognized gets repeated. And this is a huge one just for life in general. And I think about raising kids if you have little ones, right? So like, if you praise and reward your little ones that like pick up after themselves, or, do their chores without you telling them, or brushing their teeth on time or something, right? Like, if you're like, oh, hey, great job, da da da, right? Those things will get repeated. And the same thing goes here. So I have stuff like, I try to focus on recognizing not just results, but actions as well. And I've talked about this before, where like, a lot of times we can't control our results, but we can control our actions, So someone might be like really just busting ass trying to get parties booked, but it's just slim pickings in their circle right now, right? So I would recognize, hey, you reached out to 20 people this month trying to get a party booked. Go you. Way to go. You didn't get one booked, but that's okay. You tried, right? So I try to recognize you guys in that kind of aspect, right? And so I have listed down here like Facebook postings. You guys will see sometimes I'll screenshot a post that you've made and shout it out in the team page saying, this is a really great post because you're sharing, not selling. Or maybe you went live and I'm shouting you out because you went live. Obviously, you know, getting parties booked is something you can recognize. Active by the 7th, I like to recognize that because that's a huge deal. If you're getting 200 PRV in the first week, that's amazing. Obviously sponsoring, that kind of stuff. And I think about like, what do I want? Like what would I want from my teamies, right? What would I want from you guys? Like, I want you guys to be active the first week of the month, and I want you guys to book parties, and I want you guys to, you know, share on social media and all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of thing that I'm going to recognize and shout out because those are the things that I want repeated, right? So that was number 2. What gets recognized gets repeated. Number 3, work and show up for yourself. So if you don't do the things, your team's not going to do the things. So what I love about Scentsy and the compensation plan is that in order for you to get paid any kind of leadership bonuses for helping your team, you have to put in your portion too. So you have to have at least 500 PRV in order to get any kind of leadership bonuses. And I love that because then it prevents that whole pyramid scheme thing, right? Where you just recruit a bunch of people and you sit back, you know, with your, you know, tropical fruity drink and rake in all the money, right? You have to work and put in the work too. You have to still do PRV and you still have to sponsor because teamies fall off and all that kind of stuff. So you still have to work and grow your own personal business. So kind of like what gets recognized gets repeated, like the things that you do, your team will do. So if you're not bringing on new teamies, your team's probably not bringing on new teamies. If you're not booking parties, your team's probably not booking parties, right? If you're not putting in a bunch of PRV, probably neither is your team. So are you getting active in a week if that's what you want, right? Are you getting your 500 by the 15th? Are you growing your customer base? Maybe you're not doing parties because there's lots of ways to grow your customer base without doing any parties. There's lots of ways to get PRV without doing parties, right? Like fundraisers or a referral program or something like that. So you don't necessarily I use the word parties a lot, but you don't have to do parties. But as long as you're doing something to grow your customer base and you're showing them that you're working, right? And so that's what I try to do. I do struggle with that a lot. Like that's why I like the hashtag how I'm working posts that I try to do at least once a week in the team page for you guys, because I want you to know that I'm working day in and day out right alongside of you. I'm working to get parties booked or to grow my customer base. I'm working on getting club orders. I'm working on, you know, just getting regular PRV. I'm working on adding new teamies to our family, like all the things. And so I try to remember to show you guys that I'm actually doing the work with you, right? And so if you have teamies, I highly encourage you, that's definitely on the do list, to show your teamies that you're working right alongside them, right? You're not just telling them what to do and be like, hey, book parties, and hey, sponsor some people, and hey, get some club orders, and hey, you know, doing all of that and you're not doing any of it, right? So we want to work we don't want to be above our teamies. We want to be right in line with everyone else. We want to do what everyone else is doing. So, the same thing goes with even like training yourself, right? Are you taking time to feed your brain and watch trainings and, find new ways of doing things or new ways of posting or whatever the case may be, right? Are you commenting on the team page? Are you participating? If you want your teamies to participate on the team page and, be part of the team, then you need to do that too. So show them that you're working. Then the last do that I have is to also show your failures. This is also something that I struggle with because I just kind of don't think about it, but I'm working on it. So when I do have something that's completely failed, and I've talked about it before, I'll give you an example. Bag parties. I love, love, love bag parties. I love the whole concept around it. I love making up the really cute bags. I don't know if you guys have watched any trainings, and I had in the monthly movement group and the booking boot camp. I haven't seen the bag party videos yet, but I love doing it. But I tried to do it for like a year and a half and kept changing it up, and they just didn't work for me and my group, like my group of people that was doing parties. I could not get them to work. So I quit doing them, and Facebook parties started working for me. So I started doing those. But I talk about that, like, hey, I tried all of this stuff and none of it worked. And that's okay, right? But we move on to something that will work, just like that thing that I posted earlier today. So show your failures too. So those are the do's. Be a cheerleader, recognize your people, shout them out, cheer them on, show them that you're working, and show them your failures. So here are my 4 don'ts. Don't show up if they're not showing up. So I like to think about it kind of like a tennis match, right? So like if you're playing tennis and you're popping the ball back and forth to each other, and you pop the ball over to your opponent and they don't pop the tennis ball back to you, you can't play the game. Like the game's over. Like you can just smack balls at them for hours if you want, but if they're not hitting it back to you, you're not really playing the game. And the same thing goes this way. Like if you guys show up, I'm going to show up. Like I'm here 100%. I am here for it. I'm here for you guys, to train you guys and work with you and, cheer you on and help you do things and, help you game plan and brainstorm and all the things. But obviously I can't play the game by myself. So if you're not going to show up, I'm going to move on, right? And so that's definitely something that a lot of people think about is like, oh, well, I don't want to like push, bring on teamies and push them and try to get them to work and da-da-da-da. Don't, right? Everybody's their own independent consultant, their own business owner. And a lot of people just want to get a discount on their own stuff, and that's fine. If things change and they're ready, then be there for it to help them, lift them up and move them along. But if they're not going to show up, then you don't need to show up either. So don't feel bad about that. Still check in with them, make sure they're okay, they don't have any questions, that sort of thing. But you don't have to show up if they're not showing up. Number 2 on the don't list, don't spend all of your time on your team. Your personal tasks should come first. So typical, and I tell you, I really struggle with this one because I love doing all of this stuff, right? So I really have to force myself to not work on things for you guys. But the rule is typically like an 80-20 rule. 80% of your time, if you have an hour, I don't know math. 80% of an hour we'll say is 50 minutes. So let's say you have an hour, 50 minutes should be spent on your own personal business. You getting PRV, you booking parties, you having joint conversations, you know, doing thank yous and follow up. And then 10 minutes, 20% should be reaching out to teamies, posting on a team page. I'll get in a minute. That sort of thing, right? Because like I said before, you still have to build and grow because, you know, teamies, just like customers are going to come and go. Teamies are going to come and go, right? So if you're not continuously working on your business, your own personal business, then it's just going to die, right? So work on your personal business first. Number 3, don't recreate the wheel. Okay. So this is what I was kind of saying before, where I feel like I do a lot. Not necessarily that I recreate the wheel, but at the end of the day, you don't need a sponsor to be successful, okay? Does it help? Yes. I feel like 100% makes a huge difference in your business between a good sponsor that's going to train and cheer you on and, you know, give you time and all that kind of stuff versus one that you just sign up and then you don't hear from them ever again, right? Huge difference in your business, huge difference. But you don't have to, like if you bring on teamies, you don't have to create a new team page, right? You don't have to do trainings like this every week. You don't have to create documents and flyers and all this kind of stuff for them, right? You don't have to do any of that stuff because all of that stuff has already been done for us in all these other groups, right? So that's why, I mean, I share a lot of trainings in here, but then I personally I want to pop in here and talk to you guys and chat with you about my own ideas and thoughts about things because everyone has different thoughts and feelings, you know? And that's why I like to watch a lot of different trainings too, because then I can kind of pick and choose how I want to think about things and how I want to work and all that kind of stuff. So don't recreate the wheel. And I'll say that as you guys grow and like get bigger teams, if you want to have another team page just to kind of do things on your own, if you don't like maybe you don't like my style, maybe you've got other ideas, you want to do something different, then have a team page. If you just want to work with me on this one team page, then we'll do that. Like it's fine. It's fine. Don't recreate the wheel, okay? The last thing that I have on the don't is don't be Google. Don't be the workstation. And do support independence, okay? So when you first bring someone on, they're brand new, they don't know a lot, right? Here's how I think the sponsoring should go, coaching should go, okay? You bring on a new teamie. The first month, you guys should be talking a lot, right? Probably every other, if not every day, every other day, 4 times a week, you should be checking in with them. They're going to be asking you questions. You're going to be checking on, checking their numbers in the workstation. You're going to be shouting them out, cheering them on, all that kind of stuff. And that's going to go on for probably the whole month, right? Because they're just they're getting their feet wet. They're seeing how the workstation works. They're seeing how to get PRV. They're learning about parties and all of this kind of stuff. And so, you're kind of working with them, side note, if they want to launch and actually have customers, okay? If they're just here for the discount, then I check in with them a couple of times, like once a week, just to make sure they don't have any questions, all that kind of stuff. And then it's just like regular communication from then on. But if they're like, yeah, let's do a launch party, let's get some customers, my battery's dying, then I'm working really closely for at least the first solid month, right? Then After that, you don't have to work so closely with that person because like now they're getting their rhythm and they're getting their kind of schedule down, and they're figuring out their own way of working, and they know where to go to find answers, right? Because you've answered questions and you've kind of guided them and say, oh, you can find this on the workstation under the news tab or the training tab, or hey, go to this Facebook group and search this and you'll be able to find flyers on that, right? You're kind of training them and teaching them to fish, basically. Okay. I'll tell you what I do after that. A lot of times if you message me something, if I can answer, I will, typically, right? If I don't answer you, it's because I'm with the family or I'm working, or something like that, right? But typically I'll answer you if I can. But a lot of times if I see it and it pops up and I know that you can find it on the workstation, I'm gonna wait a little bit before I respond to you, because I know that you're probably like, oh, I really need to find this answer, and you're gonna go around and you're gonna dig for it, right? So don't think that if you have teamies under you that you're answering questions all day and just being Google and being the workstation. Answer when you can. I usually say no more than 24 hours. You should respond, right? Because nobody wants to be ghosted, right? We don't like when customers ghost us. Don't ghost your teamies. Respond, within 24 hours. And if it's something that usually I'll say like, oh, it's on the workstation or something like that, because you need to learn to be independent, right? What if I go on vacation for a week and you don't know how to find things in the workstation, right? Like, so teach your teamies how to fish. Train them up that first month and then slowly wean them off. And then you have your normal interaction, right? Where you're probably touching base a couple of times a month, maybe once a month, depending on what they're really doing with the business, right? So those are my don'ts. So don't show up if they're not showing up. Don't spend all of your time on your team. Work on your personal business. I try really hard to get my personal tasks done first, like my follow-up and happy mail and posting and stuff like that, before I move to anything to do with you guys. Otherwise, like I said, I'll work on you guys all day long. Don't recreate the wheel. Don't think you have to recreate the wheel, right? There's tons of training out there already. Just be their cheerleader, help answer their questions, and guide them in the right direction. And then don't be Google, what I just said. So, all right. Yes, it's 8:59. That was a fast one. I'm so proud of myself. I'm gonna add that to the win column, the focus group that I'm doing with a few of you guys. We talk about the small wins each week in our business, and so that's gonna be a win because I typically go over 30 minutes sometimes. So if you guys have any questions about anything that I talked about tonight, you guys know to drop questions down in the comments. If you have a question or a situation leadership-wise that you want to talk about, maybe you don't want to talk about it in the comments, message me, text me. You guys have my number, and of course, Facebook Messenger, and we can chat about it offline too. That's totally fine. So thanks for hanging out and chatting with me tonight, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Mwah. Bye, y'all.